Welcome to the Triple Triple. 3 women, 3 kids each, and a triple shot of unfiltered truth. Here we talk about all the things: life, careers, raising families, leadership, and shaping communities. This podcast is equal parts informative, inspiring, and fun. So buckle up, cupcakes, and let's dive in. I'm Sydney Garchick, president of MRK Partners.
I'm Kathy Kohler, Chief Operating Officer of MRK Partners.
And I'm Meredith Esri, Chief Revenue Officer of MRK Partners. All right, health and wellness. Sid is like so ready for this show. This is her moment to tell us all of the things that we need to be doing from her non-medical background. But she has half Claude, and Claude tells her a lot of things. So we'll probably get into that here shortly. But before we do, let's talk about Wellness Toolbox. What gadgets, apps, things are you doing, using, tried, hate, tried, love, or don't try at all? So tell me, you two are more gadgety than I am.
I won't go first. Go ahead.
I'll go because I'll be quick, and then you can go list off all of yours. My number one thing is my watch. I have a Garmin watch. Used to have a Fitbit watch, upgraded to the Garmin. And it tracks my sleep is probably my number one thing. That is like really what I use it for. And it's cool to see like when I work out if my heart rate goes up or not and stuff like that. And it tells me that my fitness age is less than my actual age. So I love it. But it's mostly just for the sleep and my body battery. And then I think what I also count in my toolbox is supplements. So I'm really big on magnesium. I want to say I'm big on creatine, but then I'm the only one who didn't bring creatine here. So I'm just stealing your guys's, which I knew I could do. So there's that. And I think I told everybody that I used all of my melatonin that I brought on my trip just last night because I'm just all about my sleep. My magnesium and my melatonin help me sleep at night.
Go ahead.
No, mine's going to be about 2 seconds. Go ahead.
So I do the Garmin watch too. I really like my Garmin watch. I have tried all the things. So I've tried the Oura Ring. I've tried the Whoop. And just like, I've never tried an Apple Watch. So clarifying that. But I feel like the Whoop, it doesn't have a clock on it. So like, how can you do anything? It doesn't show my text messages or whatever that I need. So that was a no for me. I do think it's great for certain things and a lot of people really like them. I tried the Oura Ring. It's kind of annoying. It also is not a watch. So I was wearing my watch plus the Oura Ring. It's supposedly better for sleep, but I find honestly that the Garmin is easier to work with and it integrates with more things. The other thing that is really important that's in my toolbox and personally is, and I use more on the Garmin. So I'll track my cycle, I'll track my body battery, I track my sleep, I track my workout. So like my active minutes every week. But the other thing I really like is tracking my food in terms of like my macros. So actually a friend has a new app, which I will share once it's ready to go live, but I've been using that, for fun, but you can use like MyFitnessPal or whatever. But I do feel like tracking your food, is really helpful, even if you don't use it every day, but like being able to go back and reference it if you're trying to track protein or all those things. If you are low in, vitamin C or whatever, then tracking your food will let you go back and analyze that. So that is my other thing. And I will say I've tried to do it on like a Claude or a ChatGPT. And the problem is it doesn't track like time well. And then it doesn't give you like a summarized way to look at it. So for me, still using kind of like an app to track or like a MyFitnessPal has still been the easiest way to track food.
If you want to lose weight, you track your food. Yeah. It's nothing worse than having to write down what you ate.
And you're like, I had 3 red vines, parentheses. It was a really hard meeting before, in parentheses. That's usually what
happens. Then 3 more.
Exactly. It's interesting because I think I am in the midst of my health journey. I do think that we talked about it last night at dinner. We went to dinner at 6 and we were talking about how people are shifting dinner reservations. Like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would never eat dinner in LA at 6 o'clock. You wanted an 8 o'clock reservation. It was the cool reservation to have. That's when you went out. And now across the whole country, people are shifting to earlier dinner reservations because the entire country has more health awareness and, longevity awareness. Now, I will caveat some of my like toolbox things with I went to see an actual doctor. And I think that part is really, really important. Just disclaimer to anyone listening to this podcast, we are not doctors and we are not giving medical advice. But I think it's really important because there's so many health and wellness influencers. And we talked in a prior episode about like what gets spewed out on social media. And we have to be really careful about the information that we're absorbing and saying like, is this real information? Is this something that I need? Or is this somebody trying to sell me something or some bullshit thing about how you can put watermelon juice on instead of sunscreen? Like there's some yes, there's like this woman who makes like
that.
yeah, really crazy shit. So I think when I think of tools, it's like I have been somewhat reluctant to get an Oura Ring. I couldn't sleep in a Garmin because I take everything off at night, like the jewelry and all of that. But I thought about the Oura Ring and I want to make sure that I understand what I'm trying to get out of the tool before I just start having the tools. So I think I'm at the edge of now saying, okay, I go to a holistic, like functional medicine doctor. So I've done my blood tests. I'm testing for the supplements that I need. What does my body need? What do I need to be aware of in this like early, not quite perimenopause, like pre-perimenopause phase of my life? And so now I feel like I'm like, okay, I have enough real legit information that I could start tracking and creating awareness.
Yeah. I think the most important thing that I have realized is like this concept of N of one. So like
say that again.
It's N of one. Like you are your own person.
Yeah.
It means you have your own things that are going to be like what you need to do. And it's interesting because my toolbox is based on the important things for me,
right,
which are sleep, like working out, and also like some macros because I'm focused on like protein and certain vitamins, etc. Those are really important for me. But that is actually the most important thing I've learned is that we are all different and we all need to look at what is really important to us as we like go forward on this health journey. And I'd love to get into functional medicine and all of those things. So, but I know we're getting there.
Yeah.
So what is your current health philosophy then? And how has it changed in the last 10 years?
Yeah. So my current health philosophy is I am really still trying to figure out what my N of one looks like because I feel like I've become my own doctor because I don't trust any doctors out there.
This feels like bad advice.
Here we're going. Here we go. I also feel like so I think that we can look at everything that's happening on social media and there's a ton of ideas, right? There's so many things that people are pushing. And also let's remember a lot of people are getting paid to push things, right? And so it's very different. You can wake up, you need to sauna, you need to cold plunge, you then work out, but you lift first, right? You only do your lifting. Then you do like your protein and then you've been fasted and don't forget your creatine. Oh, but then you do your workout part where you get your heart rate up and then you do all of these things and it doesn't work, right? Like it just doesn't work. And so for me, it's about figuring out what are the most important things for me right now. And for me right now, it is working out because that helps me with my stress, anxiety, lots of high-strung people, and then sleep, right? And sleep and then eating well. Because if all three of those things are happening, then a lot of other things will fall in place. And if I want to add red light, which I really do like, then I do that. But I think part of it still is figuring out what I actually need. So for example, my general like practitioner is a moron. He's 712. He's an idiot. And honestly, like I just use
Why do you go to him?
Right. I was like, can you get a new doctor?
I need to change. But my thing is like, honestly, I'm just like, here, I need you to take all this blood. And then like I get my own blood results and I put them in because I think functional medicine doctors are great, but I haven't seen a functional medicine doctor that looks at everything. And I think what's really hard in this like perimenopause space is hormones. Okay. And our general like OBs are not really trained to look at hormones. So it's like your general practitioner, he looked at me, he's like, well, your hormones, you look good. So your hormones should be fine. No, you idiot. Like you can't just look at me. Right. Like, so like I asked for my hormone panel and it's all about literally figuring out what all that is. And then I will put it into Claude. Don't worry. Claudette, my favorite person. But, you know, you have to get all the stuff. So like, for example, I've done the HTMA test, the Dutch test, all my own like hormone blood work results. And then I take all this and I put it into Claude and then it'll spit out like what it thinks. And then like, I feel like confirming that with a like a wellness.
Someone who went to medical school.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing my
At
own.
this point, she has.
But I guess like, and we can continue, but I guess what's so crazy about this is we all have full-time jobs.
Right.
And what's so fucked up is that there's no one person that you can go to that can be like, okay, here's your to-do list. Here's what you eat. Here's all these things. And then come back and see me in a year because every 6 to 12 months, it's going to change. And that's like what I think I'm most upset about. Or I haven't found that person yet.
You can, and they're like in LA for $20,000. You
They're
can get your
probably
body
in
scanned
LA.
and all of those things.
They're probably in LA.
But I think the other thing, like I'm taking a pivot for 1 second, but I think the other thing about wellness, to your point, is like you have a full-time job and this feels like a full-time job. And I want to talk about the inequity in like general society right now, that not everyone has the time or the resources or the access to this kind of optimal healthcare. And so I think it really gets down to, when Kathy, you said it earlier, it's like, it is what you eat. And I'm going to make this come full circle to our work, but are we creating communities that aren't in food deserts, right? Are we creating communities that have access to healthy foods? Are we creating communities that have walking paths so that people can naturally exercise without a gym membership? Are we creating policies at the federal level and the state level that allow for access to food? Like, we just took away SNAP benefits from millions of people that no longer have access to healthy foods. And so I think that at a base level, like, we can talk about optimizing and we understand and acknowledge our place of privilege in that. But I think both things can happen. Like, we can do the work that we're doing and have awareness of that, like, just base level access to healthy foods and walking environments, and then say, okay, what do we want to do to optimize it when we have access?
Yeah, but I think what's so interesting about all of this stuff is that it's not really that important. Like, if you go back to basics, which is eat good food,
right?
Move your body, walk, run, lift weights, like kind of whatever, right? Move your body and get good sleep. Like, that is the basis by which
90% of it works.
Correct. Right? And all these other things, sure, they're helpful, they're optimizing, but they're not like going to move the needle incredibly for you. And I would say one other thing is like access to good blood work, right? Knowing what blood work you want done. And there are ways to do that in a reasonably cost-effective way. Because most of the time you can ask your like general practitioner to do that. So to me, like, that's what's important. And we do stress those things at our communities, right? Because at our communities, the important thing is we usually have gyms, right? Like senior and family, we usually have gyms. We always have access to stuff. Right. Like, our goal is always to be close to grocery, and most of the time we try to be walking to grocery stores. And the point is not that you have to be next to a Whole Foods. It's that you have to shop on the outside of the grocery store, right? In the produce and the vegetable and like the dairy sections, and not in the middle. And so if we're giving residents access to that and then finding ways to keep them active and to feel safe and comfortable in their homes, well, hopefully then people are sleeping well. And if we provide services that helps with after school care or, like is a yoga class during the day, well, that's really supportive and should help their overall well-being. Yeah. So, I think that's what I've learned, which is so crazy on this whole wellness thing. Other than really being able to review your blood work, it's really like back to the basics.
Yeah.
Mine's all about energy and mobility, which I think is what you're saying the basics are. But that's different from what I thought 10 years ago, which was all about how hard can I do something and for how long. And it's just like burnout driven, right? And I think that was pushed on us. Yep. Like who can run the marathon, who can work until midnight and get up the next morning and do it again. And that is not my focus anymore. My focus is stopping work at 7 p.m. so that I get good sleep and then waking up earlier to get back to it. I think the food thing is really hard because I agree. Shop on the outside of the grocery store, not the inside. But then you got to go back in 2-3 days because everything's gone bad, right? And not everybody has the time to go multiple times. I don't have time to go to the grocery store multiple times a week. Yep. So that's hard to do, but it's so important. And I think all of this leads a lot to your mental health, which people ignore. And a lot of what you eat, your sleep, all leads to that. And having that positive energy, that grateful mindset too. Everyone is struggling. And if you just think about all the struggles, then that puts you down into a spiral as well. And it's harder to do the everyday activities.
Did either of you watch the Netflix special on Blue Zones?
I didn't watch, but I listened to his podcast, and I actually bought the cookbook.
The cookbook?
Yeah, I haven't done one cooking from there.
No idea what this is.
So Blue Zones are areas across the whole globe where they have the largest number of
people over 100.
People over 100.
Like the longest longevity.
Longevity. And what was interesting is they have all these different communities. There's one in like Asia. There's one in like Greece.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is like, okay, in Greece, they follow a pretty typical Mediterranean diet, which we know to be really good for our bodies, but they drink alcohol as part of their culture. And then in like these other countries, there was no alcohol consumption whatsoever. So you saw big differences in things that we think of as either good or bad. And they both had really long, healthy lives. And what really it came down to was two things: mobility and community.
Yeah.
And they were most often they were eating fresh foods. That was the big thing, there were no processed foods. It was fresh. So, but what it was about mobility. And so you don't need to have a gym membership for that. That's a lot of walking. It's a lot of balance and
cleaning your house.
It's a lot of physical movement. But to your point, exactly, it was mental health. And they used it in the term called community. Like, who are you in community with? Are you seeing your neighbors? Are you having small, tiny interactions with people? Do you have a couple of deep friendships? Because you don't need a lot of deep friendships. You just need a few. And so those two things are really what optimized health for people was the community and mobility. And then obviously like the fresh food piece.
But it also is like when you are dining with other people, you're just eating less, right? Like you are not like stuffing your face.
I don't know. I ate a lot of stuffed hash browns last night at dinner.
Supposedly, I mean, I hear you, but supposedly you're supposed to like put your fork down and like and
you're talking more.
Yeah, you're talking more, etc.
You're not eating a whole bag of chips in one sitting just because there's no one there and you're just like inhaling.
Correct.
Yeah.
The mobility thing hit me hard this year. Is that I have a very bad anxiety, and working out is good for me. And that means I'm like getting my heart rate up, right? And I was doing Orange Theory, and my back was hurting really bad to the point where I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sit. And I couldn't even do the treadmill at Orange Theory anymore. So I really had to think about, okay, what am I doing? How do I get in my back in better health to keep moving? Because I'm only 44. Like, I want to be doing this for a lot more years. But I think it's very undervalued, like making sure your body can move around. And
it's so, I totally agree. Like sometimes when I get up these days, I limp a little because I never got my ACL fixed, but that's fine. But I mean, I think it's very interesting because 10, 15 years ago, like nothing like that ever bothered me, right? You just get up, you go, you do all the things. And now you're like, oh man, right.
It's a little bit harder than it used to be.
But I think as you get older, a lot of people think, oh, it's harder, so I'm just going to stop doing it.
Right.
And you want to stay in motion. I remember when I was pregnant, I was like, I just got to keep moving, stay moving, because if I stop, I'll stop the whole 9 months.
Right. I do think also the community piece of it's really important, not from the mental health thing, but for me, I grew up in Indiana and I now live in LA, and LA's culture is active and it is healthy. And so you are around people that are moving their bodies, eating healthy foods, are conscious and aware and can dialogue about those things. Whereas, frankly, when I go home, it's like a wildly different environment. There are far fewer healthy restaurants. There's a lot of fried food. Many, many, many people are overweight. Not saying the whole population, but when you are in a city or a community that really supports that type of lifestyle, shout out to LA's weather, because when you can be outside 365 days a year, you can move your body in very natural ways.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think that the community is so important, like with all social media and everything that we spend our time doing, like that is not connection, right? Like everyone talks about social media. That's actually, that's not connection at all. That's just you by yourself.
Terrible for your mental health.
Watching other people.
Right.
What they found is that these communities operate like communities. Like, for example, there's a fisherman. He gets fish and he'll drop fish on your door, right? And like they support each other. It's not just that like, you know, it's really that sense of community, and they talk to each other and you have deep friendships. And I do think that is so important. And I think it's also hard because at this stage of our lives, we work full time. We're a parent full time, right? Like these are very hard. And then it's also very hard to continue to maintain deep friendships because you run out of time. Plus you're also like trying to figure out what the heck's happening with your hormones or cortisol or whatever. And so I think like I am trying more recently to make a more concerted effort, not just when your kids are running around to say hello to the other parents, but to spend time and devote time to those meaningful dinners or hangouts or whatever.
There's a lot to be said about like the Target friend where it's just like, hey, I'm running errands. Do you want to come with me? Or I'm going to pop by on the way home and stay for 20 minutes. It's the consistency in relationships that's also really important.
Yeah.
Because like I have a really good friend and we both have wild schedules. And it's like, if we plan something, we're looking at like 60 days out and we're like, this is stupid. How can we not get a coffee on the calendar for 60 days? But if sometimes it's like, I'm just going to text her on the way home and be like, I'm coming over for 20 minutes and sit outside with me.
Yeah.
And I think that I was listening to a podcast talking about the inconvenience of community and that we have moved so far away from that. Like, we're like, oh, well, that's inconvenient. I don't want to be inconvenient to them. It's inconvenient to me. But community is inconvenience.
Yeah.
It's saying, I have a sick kid and I need to take them to the doctor. Can you watch my other kid for an hour?
Right.
Or I need to do this. Can you pick up my kid? Or I just need a friend right now. Like there's inconvenience in friendship. There's inconvenience in community. And we have to allow ourselves to do that. Otherwise, it's always like, well, I'll see you Thursday at 9 p.m. in 60 days.
Yeah.
Or in 2029 when you finally have time. And then we're going to have kids that go away to college and have no friends because we didn't invest in anything.
I don't have a lot of local friends, until recently.
Yeah, I was like, you're very popular
now. One of my
now.
local friends moved away to Florida and left me stranded here. But I recently have, with the kids going to school and such, I have much more local friends. And I think you've told me before too. So I always offer like, oh, I'll walk your kids to school. I'll do this, I'll do that. But I never let them do that for me.
Correct.
And so I've done that now. I'll be like, oh, that'd be great if you picked up my kid or did that. And that I think then allows them to ask you too. So I think that sometimes you want to be a friend to help somebody else, but the best feeling for them is to help you.
Correct. And we have to let people – there was a guy that said to me once, like, don't block my blessing. Yeah. And it was such a like – they hit me. I was like, oh, you're right. Like I'm not allowing you to give me the gift of support.
Right.
And so much of, and I do think for type A corporate working moms, it's like, I can do all of it. I will carry the weight of the world on my shoulders and I will carry every grocery bag from the car to the house in one trip and I will do everything myself. And sometimes it's like, even when I don't need the help, it's like, I'm going to let that person help right now because in the end, it actually does feel good to be helped. And it creates a bond between you and the individual that they got to support you in whatever it is that you needed. Like bring ice to the party. Don't bring food because it'll F up my aesthetic, but you can bring ice. Like those are do the things.
Says the hoster.
We're like, what? You're throwing a party?
Okay. These are the wines I'd like you to bring. Go get them.
Oh my God. I got an invite from a friend whose parents are actually in the wine business. And it was like, really excited for you to come to the Memorial Day party. If you want to bring food, please call me first. We are asking that you do not bring these certain types of tequila. Beers can only be in cans. No Modelo. It was like a whole list of things. They are very particular and they do have a tricky property and they didn't want glass. But I was like, oh, you're my party spirit animal. Right. Here are the rules for the party.
I texted my friend. I was like, I think we might do a barbecue. I'll text you later. I'm kind of busy this week. That's our planning so far.
Bring
Memorial
all
Day.
the things.
Yeah. But I think bring your kid to play with mine, really.
I think what's interesting about this conversation too, though, is like we started out with like intensity around tracking and the creatine and the vitamins and all the things we're doing, but it really comes back to relationships too, like, and that being the foundation of a healthy environment. And I do, closing out on this before we go into your quote, is the idea that like our communities, we want them to feel like communities when we build them, and creating like the healthy activities, but also saying, hey, we're also going to have a gardening party and we're going to do the things that help you with your mental health as well. And I'm really, really proud of that work. I will tell you, when I joined the organization 2.5 years ago, I remember both of you being in the room and saying, we provide resident services to every building, even when it's not required. And that's the important part. That's the important work. That's the stuff that really matters to create health for people.
Yeah, and that community is what we've really stressed, especially since COVID, when people feel lack of community. And so it's like, okay, pizza party, yoga, whatever. Like, do whatever that gets you together and starts chatting, because you are a community within a community.
Agreed.
And that's so important.
Just no Jello shots at bingo.
Oh, boy.
They can get a little wild,
Oh, boy. Seniors get a little wild with Jello shots. So we no longer.
We're no on that.
We're a no on Jello shots.
I think it's a violation of our insurance policy, so please don't do that.
It's not a popular opinion, though.
I know, it really wasn't. Okay. So let's just see. Okay. This is a good quote. Okay. My quote for today is, take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. And it's by Jim Rohn. And he's known for his like simple, practical wisdom around discipline, habits, leadership, and long-term thinking. And many self-development figures were influenced by him. And just he like preaches consistency, not hype. And so it's just really interesting, because it really is. You only have one body. Like, you have to take care of it. And it's not about like I think he said this way before there was red light therapy, right? Like it was years and years ago. So shout out to him for this.
Baseball. Love it.
Yeah.